Welcome back to a fully recovered, refreshed and revitalised podcast.
Hello.
Hi. Are you fitting well, Phil?
Well, fuck yeah, man.
Are you?
Feel pretty good.
Have you recovered from the illness?
Yeah.
Man flu, if you
I would say pretty much like back to 100%, which 100% to me is like about 40% of a normal human.
That's good to know.
So I'm feeling pretty
That's good to know. We've got a guest tonight. You know who it is. He's back. It's Ryan.
Hello everyone, how are you?
We're good. We're great, Ryan. We're great. So welcome back to Two Guys, One Garage. The illness that me and Phil have had, I say it as if we've caught it off each other. Phil, you give me the lurgy.
And like it's Ebola or something crazy stuff.
Terrible, it was awful.
It was horrible.
It was for like about 24 hours though. It was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it gets you like question, am I dying?
Can I just say, I never experienced this illness.
Did you not?
No, everyone had it.
Because you were in a different country probably?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
maybe
true.
it was a different illness.
That's
a
true.
Norwegian illness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sexy illness.
So today we're going to be talking about... Well, Phil, you tell them what we're going to be talking about, Phil.
Possibly the sexiest history topic in the world. Ancient Egypt and the pyramids.
Good God, holy moly. Yes.
Holy
Unbelievable.
moly, did you say holy moly?
Holy moly. Yes, we're going to be talking about the pyramids, the Giza plateau, all that naughty Egyptian goodness. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah.
A historical podcast.
When you watch the documentaries and stuff, you're just like, wow.
It was something I was
Those
really
dudes,
into in
yeah.
school as well.
Was it?
The pyramids in ancient Egypt and stuff. I wish they had like, because we learned about like, I think it was the like the revolution in England of what the hell?
What, Cromwell and
Like
stuff?
yeah, like all that crap. Yeah,
Charles, was that Charles the First?
I can't remember.
That's
now.
a good question.
I got like a D in history, so I was really big crap.
The first or the second. You got beheaded, didn't you?
Yeah.
I thought to myself at the time as well, how mint would it have been to be learning about like the ancient Greeks or the ancient Egyptians,
yeah.
and we're learning about this shit.
Well,
That's still class though, to be fair. Like,
when I was in
our
year
own
7,
history.
I didn't think of it as at the time.
yeah.
When I was in
But
year
now-
7, we did the Aztecs.
See, that would have
That
been
was-
brilliant.
that's amazing.
That
That
would have
is
been
amazing.
class.
Sacrificing.
Montezuma.
Jaguars
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff.
Nice.
Exciting times. Right, this is going to be a new bit. We're going to be doing a new segment on the podcast where we tell you guys some interesting facts.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So, we haven't even got a name for this bit yet. On the spot,
Fact
think of a name.
fuckery.
Fact fuckery.
Phil's facts. Actually, it's Dave's idea though. So you could just call it Phil's facts, but Dave's idea though.
Sponsored by Dave.
I don't know what to call it. Any suggestions out there? Let me know. We're probably not getting any, but
Phil's facts.
we'll just, for now we'll just call it Two Guys, One Garage. Factoids.
Factoids.
Horrible,
Factoids.
horrible word, factoids. But
Factoid, yeah.
let's drop into the intellectual and informed realm of factoids. Dropping in now. Right, on this factoids, Phil's going to stick with the topic of the day, which is ancient Egypt. I'm going to go on a tangent. I'm just going to talk about historical facts. 5 each. I'll begin,
Oh, nice.
and then you take over. So my first fact is, Phil, and to the listeners, in ancient Greece, throwing an apple to a woman was considered a marriage proposal.
Still is.
In some parts of Cramlington, it's
Go. In Cramlington, it's a pint glass, don't it?
It's just glass and stuff. Okay, what have I got here? Okay, some Egyptian doctors had specialised fields of study and had specific names. For example, a dentist was known as a doctor of the tooth, right? And a proctologist was known as a shepherd of the anus.
That's a fact and a half.
Shepherd of the anus. Oh my god. It gets funnier every time.
I mean, that's like the literal translation, but that's what we'll stick with.
Oh my god. Shepherd of the anus.
Isn't it sexy?
You are such a shepherd of the
My
anus.
turn.
Oh my god.
The original founders of Macy's died on the Titanic. They were the old couple in the movie who went to sleep as the ship was sinking.
Oh.
Did you know that?
I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that. Phil, we're going back to ancient Egypt. Take us there.
Gone back a few thousand years there. Okay. Well, this is nowhere near as funny. In fact, it's not in any way funny. But I have here, for over 2 centuries, the Egyptians fought against what I presume is pronounced as the Hittite Empire, over lands in modern day Syria. Isn't that a coincidence that shit's still being fought within today, all these years later? And I've got, with no clear victor in both states facing threats from other people, a peace treaty was signed in 1259 BC, where they agreed to end the conflict and aid each other in the event of an invasion by a third party. And a copy of this peace treaty can be seen above the entrance to the United Nations Security Council chamber in New York. Now, that isn't as funny as the Shepherd of the Anus bit, right? But isn't that like fascinating? That like thousands of years ago.
I was going to say, how long ago was that then? So, it's got to be at least like 4,000 years ago.
Well,
1259. But BC?
Do the math, man.
1259 BC. Oh Jesus! So 3,000.
Like
bloody hell!
Wow.
Isn't that
well
insane?
over 3,000 years ago?
That they were like progressive enough to be like, you know what it is? This isn't working, is it? 2 centuries later, it's not working.
Yeah.
Let's just settle down, join forces.
So how long did it take them to work it out? Like 200 years.
200 years. Still quicker than what like Britain and America and all that going to take to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's good. I like that.
I'm just going to say a disclaimer. It's not ever going to get back to fun facts about shepherds and anuses.
That was a one-time thing. You've had your fill.
Yeah.
Third fact: George Washington grew marijuana in his garden.
Legend.
And he had wooden teeth.
Wasn't the
That's true.
was it the Bill of Rights or something was written, or some part of the Constitution was written on hemp, which is kind of bizarre.
I didn't know that.
I'd heard about that. Yeah, but it's a very versatile plant, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was used for a lot of things, wasn't it? Not just like obviously
rope,
smoking.
clothes.
Yeah.
Back to you, Phil.
Okay, what have I got here, man? Oh, this is Sean.
Sean, I haven't heard that word either.
In the late 12th century AD, there was a Kurdish ruler called Al-Aziz Utman. I presume I'm pronouncing that right, probably not. And he tried to destroy the pyramids at Giza.
Did he?
Yeah, on the Giza Plateau. And he says, I've got here, but he gave up after damaging the smallest one of the 3 Great Pyramids because it was just like too big a task.
The smallest one.
It was just like, this is going to fucking take forever. So, nah. I got totally irate when I was reading it. I was like, you piece of shit. That shit has lasted for like thousands of years. And you're wanting to go in there and just like tear that shit apart.
But do you know what it is though? You know all the like the ancient Roman stuff in Rome. When I went there, they were telling us all of the Trevi Fountain and all of the statues, what they'd built in like the Renaissance period. All of that was manufactured and sculpted from stuff like from the Colosseum, stuff that they'd torn down from the Roman ruins and everything like that, because they had nothing to use, so they're just kind of recycling it. So,
it's just like readily available.
Yeah, if they hadn't actually ripped everything down, what would the Colosseum have looked like? And everything like that? It would have lasted much longer, but then you wouldn't have had all the beautiful stuff from the Renaissance. So it's like. It's like kind of recycling itself, history, sort of thing.
That's a nice way of putting it. I like it.
Fourth fact, short and sweet from me. Unicorns were mentioned in the Bible.
Were they really?
I've heard that, but is that like legitimate?
Apparently so. But then the Bible's a collection of tales, isn't it? So was that the first recorded, in literature?
So where were the
unicorns?
We need to look at this up. I need to look this up. Unicorns in the Bible.
That's mad. Oh, well, didn't they say that? I'm sure there's like some school of thought that says that Christianity, it like at its core, it's all based on some mushroom cult. I.e. people that took like psychedelic mushrooms and conjured up these religious ideas. And then like through Chinese whispers they got like turned into what it is today type of thing.
God, you see what happens to like something after just like a few minutes, like when you're whispering around a room, just changes, isn't it? Anyway,
but that would make sense in terms of like coming up with fucking unicorns. Yeah. You're on mushrooms, chances are you're going to come up with a unicorn. You know what I mean?
True. Mad. A horse with a horn on its head.
Odd. Fourth fact from you, Phil.
My fourth fact is that the Sphinx, the beautiful Sphinx, it's missing its nose?
Sure do.
Yeah.
Some asshole got rid of that. Mm-hmm. Either a person or nature, probably a person.
It was a person, I looked into it, but I can't remember their name. It was a rumour to be Napoleon, but they don't think it was. It was somebody beforehand.
Yeah, because it supposedly was depicted as having no nose before Napoleon.
Yes.
Was even born.
Yeah.
But it supposedly also had a fucking beard as well.
Really?
Because supposedly the Egyptians wore fake beard.
Yeah, they did.
Now, this is something I'll go into on the podcast about the Sphinx and about its design. but it's not what you're mentioning now, but it leads into that, so I'll mention that later.
Either way, as a man who sports a beard, I was like, get in, Sphinx had a beard. So I was pretty chuffed with that.
Something about facial hair and bodily hair in Egypt that I'll talk about later as well, which I thought was quite interesting.
And my fifth and final fact is fellow pyramid builders, the Mayans. The Mayans would use an unusual weapon called a hornet bomb, which was an actual hornet's nest thrown at enemies during
that is class.
fighting your enemies with nature.
That's pretty lethal, fantastic. That, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, asshole!
Can you imagine a hornet's nest coming at you? That shit me pants me.
Yeah, you would just peg it in the opposite direction, wouldn't you?
Over there as well, it'd be.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be pretty big, I think, as well. Not just be the daft little hornets over here.
Even the daft little hornets over here are
I'd run from.
buggers.
I would run from.
I'd be pegging it.
Yeah.
Phil, hit me with your fifth fact.
Well, my last fact of the evening is, Tutankhamun.
Yeah, nice
I
guy.
do.
We're all familiar with that young gentleman.
He was spot on.
Well,
19-year-old, he died, bless him.
Correct. Good knowledge, man. But I was happy to know, or to find out, that his mummy is located in the place where it was actually found. So his mummy is actually in the Valley of the Kings.
It's still there.
Yeah,
I thought it might have been moved.
But they put it back.
They must presumably they put it back because they must have took it out and experimented with it.
Yeah, well, they actually did because there's a picture of the unbroken seal on Tutankhamun's tomb. It's quite a famous picture, and then 5 of the people who were on that team as well died mysteriously 6 months later because of curses and stuff. I'll go into that later, but there's some interesting stuff about that.
Yeah.
Was it Carter?
Yeah, he was the one. He was the one who did it. Yeah, but I mean, he was crippled. That poor lad, Tutankhamun. He couldn't walk properly and everything.
Yeah. That's the end of factoids. But I've just seen one more, and I've got to mention it.
Go for it.
Goodbye came from Godbye, which came from God be with you. So I shall never again say goodbye because I don't believe in God.
Toodaloo.
Later. Toodle pip. That's the end of Two Guys One Garage factoids. That's a working title. Deal with it. So, how did you enjoy the first set of factoids, Phil? The new feature.
Fact.
Enjoy it?
I liked it a lot, actually. If there's one thing I've always loved as a human being, it's facts.
I just wish I could retain more facts.
I know, but that's a problem that I have as well. A terrible memory.
Yeah.
I go through phases, where I remember certain facts and then kind of delete them and learn new ones.
Yeah.
Over time, just shit little crappy little facts.
Which is mad. Just slightly off topic, but to look at your brain as or yourself, your body, as something that can download information through its senses. I was thinking this before,
just a computer, innit? You got to empty the trash and clean it up every now and again.
Exactly. As opposed to having to double click on something and click download, and I'll have that done on my hard drive. We as biological computers just look, use our eyes, our ears, our tongues. I don't know what, but
all of our senses
to take in information and store it on our hard drive. Isn't that you never forget? There's certain things you don't forget. You know what I mean? Your mom. You don't ever forget who your mom is.
Yeah.
It's part of it. It's a part of your memory that you'll never get rid of, type of thing.
Yeah.
There was I'm sure there was a fact somewhere, funnily enough, that it told you actually how many terabytes you would need for a human brain to download a full human brain. I can't remember how much it was now. You have to look it up.
Wasn't it a massive amount?
Oh, it was a huge amount. It was a crazy amount. There was all these supercomputers lined up in a row, and that was the human brain.
So what's a terabyte? 1,000 gigabytes?
1,000 gig, yeah.
So what do you reckon it was? In the hundreds of terabytes, or?
Oh no, it's it was almost in the fucking millions. I'm sure it was.
Millions of terabytes.
I mean, listen, don't quote us, but I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was up there.
Nice.
Because think of all the neurons and the connections and things like that. And
regarded as the most complex thing in the universe that we're aware of, isn't it?
Well, think it's
easily
100, say 80, 90 years worth of memories, and if you got someone, you could regress them back to a state where they could remember things from their youth. You know what I mean? That
transcendent style.
Yeah, that type of thing. Because it's just kind of stored.
Yeah.
Because as a computer, when you delete things, they're not really fully deleted. They're just folded in such small files that can be retrieved, can't they? It's the same with humans, I suppose.
Yeah. And now, what fantastic humans existed a few thousand years ago?
Yes, good. good, what do you call it? Introduction into what we're going to talk about. Ancient Egypt, incredible.
Nice little link, Phil.
Nice little link, that's the word I was looking for.
It was nice, wasn't it? It was slick. It was
very slick.
I was really slick.
Yeah.
So,
that word, slick.
Ancient Egypt, it's fascinating. I mean, to be honest, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about ancient Egypt on this podcast was the pyramids.
Those unbelievably
It's the first thing you think of, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
When you
Pyramids
think of
and
ancient
pharaohs
Egypt, yeah,
and Sphinx.
pharaohs and stuff.
But it's just, for me, it's just the idea of the whole creation of the pyramids. There's still uncertainty, isn't there, about how they were built.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't think it's in any way understood
Exactly what they did.
Yeah, there's loads of theories on how they did it, but I don't think there's like a generally accepted theory. Well, there probably isn't like Egyptology.
I'm sure there was a guy who said, like, judging by the way they were said to have done this, it should have taken them like 5 times longer than what it really actually did.
Yeah.
And like they're baffled by how they did it so quickly. They should have had to have this many men and all these different types of technology. So there's kind of like wrapped in mystery.
So there's like that aspect of it, and also the accuracy.
Yeah.
Like of like so many pyramids.
Because if you go into some of them, I mean, I don't know if anyone's got any facts on this, but the way certain light comes in from certain stars, and you can see certain stars from like if you go into like the tomb, you can see certain stars and they line on certain days and things.
Here's a fact for you: the 3 pyramids of Giza.
Yeah,
right?
Oh, they line up perfectly against the stars, don't they?
Yes, they line up to the constellation of Orion's belt.
Yes.
But they line up not with the belt now.
Yeah,
but with the belt exactly in 10,500 BC,
which is phenomenal.
Which is when the Egyptians were at that golden age.
Yeah, and it's to do with the precession of the equinox.
I believe so. Yeah.
When things were because the Earth's wobble that it has on it, like spinning on its axis, like it doesn't just spin like uniformly. Like it has that little wobble, and every so many, like I can't remember how many thousands of years, but it lines up in such a way. Well, like where with the pyramids, it would be in such perfect alignment with. I think
that's crazy.
I think at Giza, it's aligned in such a way where it would all be like it would. What was it? The constellation of Leo or something like that. I don't know if it's that a constellation. I don't know, but like
it is.
But yeah, like so, it's meant to depict like you know the whole like lion thing, and it would be It supposedly would be like looking at itself.
Yeah.
Like at this period of time, so many thousands of years ago, but I think that goes back earlier than what like mainstream Egyptology depicts. So the pyramids are technically, possibly older
than the Egyptians themselves.
Yeah,
because like they were at 3150. They were like the early kind of. That's when it started. Apparently, like little tribes and things like that started to come together and things.
Here's a little fact.
3150 BC. Sorry.
Here's a little fact for you, which it's a quick tangent, but the pyramids were on Earth, and there were still woolly mammoths walking.
That's amazing.
Walking the Earth, so there were still woolly mammoths existing whilst the pyramids had been built.
After
the pyramids had been built.
That's crazy.
Isn't that mad?
Isn't it?
But the largest pyramid at what's it called? The Great Pyramid at Giza.
Yeah, the Great. Yeah.
That's got 2.5 million blocks of like mag-line.
And how much do they weigh each?
Like tons,
Tons, isn't it? A couple of tons, isn't it?
A couple of tons per block.
That is
it's like ridiculous.
I always wondered about how they were built. People thought they might have put logs down to roll them, but where'd you get the wood from? But I heard today, and there's also like hieroglyphical evidence that's drawn on the hieroglyphs that they put water down in front of like these sledges that would carry the stones or the statues.
So just slide them along on sludge.
There's less friction.
Yeah,
it's not going against dry sand. It's soft sands, so it's easier. But that still doesn't explain everything.
Back then, you know as well that the landscape wasn't as arid in Egypt. It was like a bit more like the Nile was a bit fuller in it. It kind of fed vegetation, so there was forests and like beasts roaming around. And it wasn't like deserty. Do you know what I mean?
That's quite a while ago, that though, isn't it? Like quite a few thousand years ago.
So we're talking like when they were building the pyramids and stuff. That's when it would have been.
But the thing is, you've got to think about this.
Not now, obviously.
There was less people on the planet back then, and they would have had to get soldiers and farmers and villagers and slaves and things to build these pyramids. Think of how many men or women, probably men, it would take to build these 3 pyramids. How long it would take them? What's the equation? It's something like they have to put down one of these blocks down every minute for 20 years or something.
It's something crazy.
It doesn't work out practical.
Well, they had all the slaves, didn't they? It was all the.
I heard the opposite. I heard that the people that constructed the pyramids weren't slaves. That they were actually paid a wage, and that they had workers' rights and stuff like that.
I mean, I don't know that for a fact.
Just according to what they've discovered.
I'm assuming,
through hieroglyphics and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But supposedly the workers, in Egypt, not necessarily pyramid workers, but just workers in general, would stage strikes and shit like that. Is that insane to think that existed thousands of years ago?
and we're not even. You know what it is? We're not even that civilized now, man. Are we?
So he has I'll ask you the question, right? The pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
What's the purpose? Just a straight up question.
Well, the first.
What's the point in the
first thing
pyramids?
that comes to my mind, anyway, is just like a temple to there because the pharaohs were gods on earth. You know how the Pope is the right hand man of God.
Yeah.
Like the pharaoh was meant to be higher than him. Like they are gods in human form, like Jesus,
divine creatures.
Yeah, exactly.
Incarnated.
And what? So basically, what they had to do was they had to build these pyramids. This is just what I know anyway. They had to build these pyramids, these tombs, for them to be accepted into the afterlife.
Yeah.
And go on living in the afterlife as gods. So they were buried with all their treasure and everything. That's why they were. I mean, there were masses of treasure, like millions of pounds worth of treasure in there. And the way they mummified them and stuff, there were certain different things. They had to put their organs in certain jars so that the organs would be carried over to the afterlife and not just left in their body and things. But
there's never been any bodies discovered in pyramids. In the pyramids themselves, they're in tombs that aren't in the pyramids. There's been no mummies discovered in any of them 3 pyramids.
At the Giza Plateau.
On the Giza Plateau near
so
the Sphinx.
those 3 great ones.
Yeah.
Are you talking about those ones?
Yeah. Near them, not in them, but near them, next to the Sphinx, is apparently Osiris's burial ground, and he's in there, but they haven't taken the sarcophagus out. It's underwater or something. So there's actually no bodies ever been interred into the.
That's a good fact.
I didn't know that.
Pyramids themselves.
I didn't know that really.
No, I got taught the opposite in school. I got taught there was. That's where the pharaohs got.
Well, that's why I'm saying that now. That's my knowledge, not what I've read. Just that's my general knowledge.
Well, that's not the case.
Aside from those,
strange, isn't it?
Definitely, for that site, but apart from that site, they have excavated.
Well, like we discussed before, there is 97 pyramids in Egypt.
Surely all of those had bodies in them, like pharaohs.
Yeah, like a lot of them would have done, definitely.
That's Saqqara pyramid, the Step pyramid.
Yeah.
I think that's the oldest. That's been nicknamed the City of the Dead. That's got a lot of bodies in it, but the three big pyramids, no.
See, but weren't they totally ransacked to shit by grave robbers? Well, grave robbers, what do you call it, grave? But you know what I mean, by people that came in looking for treasure and all that, and over those thousands of years,
something's got to be lost, hasn't it?
I can imagine some dumbass being let's take the body. You know what I mean? Let's just take the body in this.
As far as I'm aware,
they're going to leave it there, are they?
As far as I'm aware, the pyramids themselves are just built up of tunnels, which are almost just vents. There's no actual burial rooms. If you go anywhere else in Egypt, that's got these pharaohs.
Yeah, basically they seal them up on the way out.
Yeah,
there's one exit. They seal them up on the way out. So I suppose if in the 18th, 19th century or 20th century or whatever, they uncovered them and they were all sealed and there was nothing in there, then I can understand. But I don't know that for a fact.
So what about the concept that this was higher technology that's been lost now through the sands of time? Perhaps aliens were involved.
Yeah.
Anunnaki.
Just the idea of high technology, the fact that they friggin' made them in the first place suggests something of high technology that we're probably not even aware of. Because all the theories that they put forward for building them,
they just don't add up.
They didn't really resonate with me. I'm nah. Because I watched some little clip where beforehand for the podcast where people were just standing there chipping away
with copper tools and that.
And I was thinking
taller than Big Ben. Taller than apparently the Statue of Liberty. That's it, not the Empire State Building. Yeah. And all those modern marvels. We all had all these technology.
I just thought, nah, it's probably not people standing there just hacking away.
Do you know the most interesting thing for me
sandals and that.
I mean, there's fair enough. There's the quarries there for where they supposedly got the stone, but I've read a lot of expert opinions that say that they built these ramps, but when mathematically you work out the size these ramps had to be, it works out bigger than the pyramids.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Because it would be wider. Because
they have to
around the
build
whole pyramid.
Huge ramps. It just doesn't. it doesn't make any sense.
A ramp would, for something that tall, the ramp would have to be like so many kilometres long,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? Really, or miles long,
Yeah.
of it, even to get something up that high
Yeah.
to the top.
Yeah, because you wouldn't want it too steep.
Yeah, you couldn't go up like that. That would defeat the object.
Yeah, and even like no matter what like gradient it was at,
It's gonna still.
how
be
many
difficult.
friggin' people, humans aren't that strong,
No.
especially when they're pulling your biceps.
Yeah.
Biceps aren't that strong. Like pulling friggin' multi-tonned stones
Yep.
up a up like some angle, like quite a few. Well, how tall are they? A couple hundred feet.
Well,
Huge,
if you're talking about, think of the last brick on the very top.
The capstone.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be taller than the Statue of Liberty and taller than Big Ben,
Yeah.
so that's going to be a canny height.
And a bunch of people, like, can people even do that? You know what I mean? Like, could you tie a rope around one of these huge stones and actually, like, fit enough people along the way to generate enough strength to actually cart one of these things up a ramp?
It's not just being able to pull it like a meter as well. It's pulling it a long way, chiseling it into that like square shape,
Yeah.
and then those people keeping their energy up
Yeah.
to do that in the heat.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah, like
it just beggars belief, and
crazy
that's got to be how many million blocks?
2.5 million for the biggest.
2.5 million for the
Largest.
biggest blocks. So like,
That's a lot.
how long
They
would it
need-
take for one block? Say they even did one block in a day.
Probably still be working on it.
Even
No,
if
that
they
was
did two, even if they did 2 blocks a day.
But I'm sure it's been said that they can't. This is something they couldn't do these days in that time scale.
Yeah, I've
using
heard
the
that.
same stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the same technology, it would be hard to replicate it.
Yeah.
Using our technology. It'd be
Which,
hard
Yeah,
to
Pretty
even
amazing.
our technology,
Yeah.
you couldn't replicate it in that scale of time.
Yeah.
So
I've
That, I
seen-
mean, that's fucking insane. Get
Yeah.
your head around that. We think we're so like high and mighty and so advanced and all this kind of thing. Yet we would struggle with our technology today to replicate what people did thousands and thousands of years ago.
supposedly,
Thousands of years, not hundreds of
supposedly
years,
with
thousands
hand
of years.
tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit,
Fucks with your
it's a
head,
bit
doesn't it?
crazy.
righto.
All right, we'll just leave that there then.
Now, have you heard the theory that if this was, sort of ancient technology from a higher source, that they're possibly power plants, or there were power plants? Have you heard that theory?
I've heard the idea of the pyramids acting as like a battery type of thing.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
So how would that work
possibly-
then?
Well, the stones themselves are margline. They're dolomite, which I found out through my research means that the majority of the pyramids are built and made out of dolomite, right?
Right.
Which is very good at electrical conduction.
Okay.
And the tunnels within the pyramid are made of granite, which is quite radioactive. And these are in sealed shafts, so they think there's somewhere where the power... They're basically some sort of giant power plant,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously they've got no proof, and they kind of...
I'd like to read a bit more into that actually. That's
look into it,
interesting.
it's quite interesting, but again, that's you sort of head down the whole
So like
alien idea. of that
random
one.
little tangent. Something I was thinking about beforehand was like, if they did generate some kind of like power,
Yeah,
I was thinking, on the American dollar, like the eye
yeah.
above the
Well, that's
pyramid.
interesting, yeah.
I was thinking, imagine if that existed like a few thousand years ago, like when the stars were aligned in the right way, like this eye,
like a giant eye of Sauron.
of that Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, on top of the
Yeah.
pyramid.
I was thinking, like, imagine that though, just like on the American dollar. I was thinking, fuck yeah, like if they actually did conjure that, and people
It's
were
pretty
actually
amazing, isn't it?
communicating with like, gods, aliens, whatever the hell, like something that was
Would
in
have
touch
been
with
gods
them.
to them, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like back then, I suppose.
But what about this idea that they did match up to the constellation of Orion on Orion's sorry, the constellations of Orion's belt, not the
Yeah.
full constellation, but just his belt. They did match up to that in 10,500 BC, and apparently one of these tunnels that exits the Great Pyramid points directly towards them, and then there's this connection with Mars. I think there's pyramids on Mars. I'm not so sure about that myself. Like,
Yeah,
but-
well, Graham Hancock, he talked about that.
did he?
Yeah, he was actually like quite open to it.
Really?
And I was like, what the
I'm not
fuck?
sure about that.
But like, yeah, it was just a couple of minutes that I heard him like talking about it. But yeah, he was open to the idea that like possibly there could be some validity to these pyramids on Mars actually, exist not as a result of just accidental.
I wouldn't be.
Shit happening on
I
the
wouldn't be like against the idea of life on Mars. Going off on a little bit of a tangent here.
Nah.
Really, like there was life on Mars previously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, what you think?
I'm saying I wouldn't
Yeah.
be against the idea that there could have
Yeah.
been previously life on Mars. That's
Well,
what I'm
maybe that
saying.
life from Mars came here. Maybe we
Yeah.
are that life from Mars descended.
or even communicated with them. Maybe they had like astronomical tools that we're not even aware of. You know, like telescopes,
Yeah.
or like I don't know, some kind of shit that I can't even conceive of. Where they were sending messages back and forth. I mean, if they fucking built huge fucking pyramids, is it out of the fucking realm of possibility that they communicated with like people from a different fucking planet that's technically not that far away in the like cosmic scale?
But then
You know?
maybe we're not giving our ancestors enough credit. Maybe we just did build the pyramids out of stone, and it
maybe-
is what it is.
Maybe they were just like jacked beasts. Like, yeah, you fucking taking the piss, man. You see the size of these, man? 20-inch biceps. We were fucking raking these things.
pulling these stones in all fucking day, and you're telling me it can't be fucking done.
Fucking aliens. Aliens arsehole.
Aliens.
No, they were aliens, man. It was all they were squats,
your
girls.
dirty mouth. Shut your filthy whore.
It's funny though, isn't it, when you look at where the pyramids are situated these days, though.
Like, when you see the
Right
pyramids,
next
and
to, like,
you
the
see
swords and
a lush background of like a desert and stuff like that, and then it pans out, and then it's just right by this big city. I mean, it looks awful, doesn't it? I personally think, but
Yeah.
right next to it,
Yeah.
it's just mental.
Yeah. All these years later. And it looks shit.
You know?
It's like, oh, like how many thousand years later, and humans actually are, like, a lot of them
Yeah.
are shite compared to the Egyptians.
Yeah.
Because chances are a lot of these Egyptians did, like, forgetting aliens, like, chances are the indigenous Egyptians did play a part in actually building the fucking pyramids, which suggests that they had, like, some kind of ability that most modern-day Egyptians and me like,
Do not.
like, just simply don't have.
But what if it was the Anunnaki?
Well,
What
goddamn.
if it was the giants from the stars? That's
Yeah.
how they're termed, isn't it? These giants. They wrote about in the Bible as well, aren't they? The Anunnaki.
Yeah.
What I mean, is that a lot of? I can hear a phone.
Yeah, it's mine. It's my dad.
A lot of historians and scientists will kind of. They'll think you're kind of crazy as soon as you mention the whole concept of aliens building the pyramids. I think a lot of people think it's sort of like a cheap excuse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Eric Van Daniken wrote Chariots of the Gods, what was it, the 70s? And that was a massive hit, and that basically said that aliens came down and gifted us with technology and helped us build these huge pyramids and these monolithic
What's
structures.
his name as well?
Giorgio Tsoukalos.
Yeah, that's him.
He's got the world's best hair.
Aliens. So these like us with his hands.
The answer is, of course,
Ancient
yes.
aliens on history. It's a good one.
I think when we haven't got like a big, like, you know, like an over-encompassing like idea of how things were achieved, then it opens things up for people to come in and go, possibly aliens. No, I'm not saying it wasn't aliens. I don't fucking know. I don't know shit about anything.
It's just
you know
exciting.
what I mean,
It's just
like-
exciting to think that it could possibly be, couldn't
Yeah.
it? Because it's like
And-
anything that's unexplained, people normally just chuck the aliens into the ring,
Yeah.
don't they? And but
But it's interesting because
this is one of these times where you think there's no explanation where the scientists have just went, well, that's how they did it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? This one is one of the things that says we don't know.
Yeah, like,
We're not
fuck
sure.
knows.
Hi, fuck. I'm
Yeah.
gonna sneeze.
But like these ancient alien guys or whoever, chances are they've got like some stuff to back up their theories and that, which gets you
Yes.
thinking, and you're like, huh.
I think it's a lot
Possibly.
of symbolism used by the ancient Egyptians in the hieroglyphics. These looking to the stars, seeing these sources, the references from ancient Sumer about the Anunnaki, having links to Mars again, for example, going back to Mars. So it's an interesting idea, I think, and that aliens could have helped humans establish a higher sort of technology. Because when you look at all this symbolism, all these images back in the day, and these written transcripts of these encounters with these alien entities and people like that, like in what was it, Central America, Quetzalcoatl, this plumed fire god. They don't have the technological reference we have for technology now.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have seen things back in the day, and they just associate that with what they know at the time.
Yeah.
But obviously we've got a much higher technological frame of reference. I mean, just look at the sort of aliens you see in movies these days and things, and how good our technology is. So we equate what we see to technology, but back in the day when they've
got no reference point.
They've got no reference point. They basically say, well, that looks like a rocket. They don't have rockets back then, or so we think. So,
well, it's one of those things. It's like if they didn't know how to get to an island, like by sailing, we know to get to another island, you sail in a boat. But if boats haven't been invented, how do you know how to get over there? You know what I mean? It's like it's one of them things. It's like how can you imagine up something that's gonna work? We know it's a boat. But what if it hadn't even invented yet?
But then that does beg the question, like the pyramids. Well, looking at the pyramids, thinking they're just tombs for pharaohs.
Exactly.
But maybe we don't have the insight that allows us to see what they're actually fucking there for.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the worst, some kind of cosmic freaking
power plant,
like a power plant, or like a communication tool.
Yeah. You think there would be a few more, though, wouldn't you?
Well, there is
pyramids,
but I mean they're the biggest ones.
Yeah, but like you think there would be, like if there was a power plant, you'd think they would be scattered all over the place, wouldn't you?
But then I suppose the only counter argument there would be, what was the population?
Very small compared to now.
And I suppose they didn't have like.
Then it begs the question: a power plant for what? Because they might have they might have only needed for like. Yeah. We'll crash landed with a spaceship house, so we need to get back. You know.
Yeah.
So we'll just build these pyramids. See you throw.
Yeah.
This is a shithole. But there's also it's a fucking shithole. Let's get out of here.
There's also underwater pyramids, though, isn't there? This is something I haven't looked into, but something I have heard of. There's underwater pyramids. There's pyramids in Central America. There's pyramids in Asia, I believe. So it's not just exclusive.
Peru and stuff like that.
It's not just exclusive to Egypt.
Bosnia, I believe it or not.
They are kicking about. There's a pyramid. It's like a natural pyramid. It's like a sort of a man-made hill. It's in this country somewhere.
Just
the petite. So it's interesting. It's something that I'm sure one day we'll get to the bottom of. But
when?
But when? For
probably
the time being,
ages away.
Well, just give us a week. You know,
give us a week. Then we'll get sorted.
Come back to us.
The Sphinx.
Ooh,
my God! You mentioned this in your facts briefly. The Sphinx.
Go on then, Dave. Tell us what you know, because I'm interested to hear what you know.
Well, the thing with the Sphinx is, when it was first found, or first discovered by people from outside Egypt, travellers. I don't know who it was, to be honest. I thought it was British or... The thing was buried. Mm-hmm. Some of it was sticking out the sand, but its body was buried. And then in the sand. And then when they uncovered it, they realised, this has got the body of a lion. But recent sort of revelations have come forward that people don't think it was a lion because of the way it's sitting. Because it's not sitting like a lion sits. Now, bear with us. Bear with us with this one. They don't think that the head that's on there now was the actual original head. Mm-hmm. Because of the size compared to the body. Yeah,
it's like much smaller than the body. It's a lot
smaller, and the body looks huge. They think that originally, way before it was sculpted in like a pharaoh's sort of design, they think that it could have had the head of a dog. Anubis.
Anubis, yeah.
So he was obviously
god of the underworld.
The underworld. And essentially the guardian of the Giza necropolis, right? They worshipped dogs, they worshipped Anubis.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
But they think that it was changed.
Fair enough.
I guess. My God, he went there, shit. So they think it's also theorised it was built round about 2500 BC. So, way back.
Well, the Sphinx itself, the thing is 2500 BC?
Yes. And it took 11 years to excavate. Which is a long time.
I presume you're going to dive into Graham Hancock territory and be like, however, the erosion.
The water.
Yeah,
well, there's water erosion marks on and around the Sphinx.
Yeah. Water.
What the hell?
In the fucking desert?
In the desert, man.
In Egypt?
Well, I've heard it's mighty rainy down there.
Yeah. Or at least it was... fucking 10,000 years ago.
Yeah. So, like I said, it was actually very, very like sort of different. Yeah, a hell of a lot of different. There was kind of not forests, but like a lot more wet and that, and there was animals roaming about because the Egyptians were the first to kind of hunt animals and domesticate them and stuff as well.
Yeah. Mad, isn't it?
That's crazy.
They have pets. But so that was like. So when was the last ice age? 10,000 years ago.
I think so.
So it would have been like shortly after that.
I guess not.
That they constructed the...
Not too far after, I mean.
Yeah.
I don't really know, to be honest.
But that... I suppose with the... Had they? The mammoths. Woolly mammoths. When you mentioned that.
Yeah.
When did they die out?
I guess
they're
it was only
proper Ice Age
really.
animals, aren't they?
It was only really in terms of history not too long ago. It was only a few thousand years ago, if that.
Well,
So they survived after the
ancient
Ice
the
Age.
Well, they
ancient
wouldn't have been able to
Egyptians were, when was it?
Right.
Egyptian civilization coalesced around 3150 BC, according to conventional Egyptian chronology. So there you go.
Which
So
a lot of that is disputed. Not
You're talk-
that per se, but like a lot.
So
of
you're
the
talking
facts-
about 5,000, roughly 5,164 years ago. roughly, just roughly,
something like that.
approximately. But yeah, that's what they reckon.
Yeah, the theorise that this Sphinx,
But
when it was in its original form, was around in the golden age of Egypt. It's the largest monolith. Is it monolith?
Monolith.
Monolithic
You've
structure.
been on Wikipedia, motherfucker. It's been on there too.
Ooh, how dare you! I've been watching some documentaries and that. Yeah.
Megalith. That's what I clicked on it. You see, and then it was like, yeah, they're also called Megalith. It's mad that though, isn't it? Like, I don't know. It just fucks your head. Like thinking, what I came across was that the Sphinx was there before the pyramids,
Yes.
and that possibly they even came across, like whoever built the pyramids, like came across the Sphinx itself buried
Yes.
up to possibly its neck. I don't know what the fuck, but like,
I didn't hear that theory.
but like, imagine them guys all those years ago being like, what the hell? What the fuck?
So what?
And they start digging, and then and they keep digging. They're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
So what? Right, you're saying that they changed the head. What? Why did they change the head? Like, or what's the theories behind them changing the head? What for?
Well,
Why would
I
they?
guess just to fit in with their.
Yeah.
It could be something as simple as a change in the times.
Exactly. Like yeah, like that particular
Style,
pharaoh might be like,
yeah.
yeah, this is bullshit. I get my fucking head on there.
Yeah.
Immediately. Or it could have been that it was damaged in such a way where they're like,
Yeah.
shit, yeah.
Well, it was
let's
it was
get this back
sabotage.
up and running.
It was sabotage, wasn't it? Later, they knocked the nose off. I can't remember the name of the person who ordered this, but because they thought it was a sign of bad luck because it was a gateway to the underworld. So that's why
Like
it was sabotage.
Like an Islamic guy had like an Islamic kind of
yeah,
name.
it could have been. I wish I could remember his name.
Yeah.
I didn't make a note of that.
He was sentenced to death supposedly.
Was he?
Yeah, like some dude was like, yeah, what the fuck are you doing knocking the nose off the Sphinx? Arsehole!
Can you imagine them talking like that as well? You
Totally.
fucking wanker.
Prick.
Where the fuck's that nose?
But with
Where's the
this,
snack man?
with this existing at the golden age of Egypt, apparently Atlantis was about at the same time.
So I don't know much about Atlantis. Is that what is that? Like
But
Greek
it's
or
all
something?
it's all just theories and like it's no. There's nothing concrete about Atlantis though, is there? It's like
No,
it could be.
There is written scripture about it, though. I'm sure.
It's only Plato that wrote about it, but it wasn't like he wrote about it like kind of like a story type of thing. It wasn't. In fact, Josh would probably be able to tell better because he studied philosophy in school, so I'm sure there's stuff about Plato and stuff in that. But anyway, it wasn't like there is definitely. Oh no, sorry, I tell a lie. It fucking is, man. He gave I'm sure he gave directions to it or something, or it's situated here, or here, and he said it was like somewhere near Greece, like around the Greek islands. But then someone else I was watching this documentary found it like off the coast of Spain somewhere. I think they found it off the coast of Spain somewhere.
But you see, this kind of fits in because apparently Atlantis sunk. Well, there's earthquakes do happen around there, and there used to be really bad earthquakes around Greece.
Well, there was what they said in Spain was that it's not that it sunk, but that it got flooded. Well, do you know how Doggerland in England?
Dogger Bank.
Yeah, Dogger Bank and everything, yeah. Which connected like Holland and Scandinavia to the bottom of the UK and France and everything.
Big sandbar.
Yeah, and they've discovered human remains in the North Sea and stuff like that because, well,
fucking didn't know what that.
yeah, it's quite interesting actually. But like when the ice age was over and it all melted, it kind of sunk it all effectively, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It made it underwater, and I suppose that the same thing could have happened to a city on the coast, like a really shallow from the seabed. Same thing could have happened.
Yeah, it's now a massive wind farm, isn't it? Dogger Bank. There's loads of turbines on there.
Yeah, I think so because it's obviously still going to be fairly shallow compared to other places in the North Sea.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've went under in the North Sea and found human remains and stuff.
I'm sure there was a few World War II like ships went down there. German ships, so there was at least one that I've heard about, but I can't remember the name.
Because that's why there's a lot of oil in the North Sea as well, because obviously there would have been a lot of vegetation there, and then it would have just sunk overnight. Not overnight, but over years, you know what I mean? And then all of that would have turned to oil and what have you. So, going a little bit off topic there, but...
That would still, keeping a valid point going. What do you think about the idea of the Egyptians having a helping hand by extraterrestrials?
I like the idea, actually. Because I really want there to be aliens out there. I really do. I really do. Because thinking about like the human race and stuff just depresses us. Because we're fucking it up so bad, aren't we? Really, like bombing people over religion and shit like that. I just want it to all of a sudden come out, and then everyone to go, "Fuck, we've got it totally wrong. We need to like just club together type of thing and
sort
like,
of
stick together."
Brian Cox was saying the other day
Was he?
on Joe Rogan's podcast. He was like, if people could just realise, like, say even if we were the only like intelligent life form in this galaxy. So people would realise the responsibility that we have to like maintain our fucking selves, i.e. like carry on living, and they would just be like, you're beginning to realise that this idea of countries and one country bombing another would just be so ridiculous.
Can you imagine if like
why maintain that?
I totally agree. If you imagine if we actually found out that there was a planet wherever 4.5 light years away, Alpha Centauri star system, and it had like us, like an intelligent life form like us on it. Mm-hmm. Borders become non-existent. Yeah. Because you just think, oh my god, we're on Earth and they're on wherever.
Apart from a few million fucking idiots like I bet.
Yeah, arguably
billion. Like, I wonder I genuinely wonder, this is totally off topic, but I wonder what effect it would have if there was like total proof, like indisputable proof that aliens did exist within this galaxy and they were intelligent and they were totally different to us. You know, like it wasn't just like, oh well, God made them too.
Yeah.
Like, they look totally different. They're like amphibians with crazy knowledge. You know what I mean? Like
reptilians.
Reptilians. Yeah. Like I wonder how the hardcore religious people, like how that, say like the Islamic community, the hardcore like Catholic and Judaic, like how those communities would handle that. The course they'd say something, they'd say like, the solar system's our universe, or blah blah blah, but some shit like that. But see, that's where it would almost be the duty of the fucking atheists. I mean, I'm not atheist myself, but I'm not religious. But it would almost be the duty of the atheists to go, look at these fucking idiots arguing that their God exists. Let's kill them now.
Well.
Like they're not going to serve any purpose to the future of this planet.
Any kind of people who are sitting on the fence at that point would be like, rightio. You know what I mean? Like
the thing is, right? If there was aliens, let's be honest, do you really think any of the governments would tell them? The answer's more than likely no, and you know why? It's because of religion. The world would just go shatter. It would just go manic.
Yeah, and they probably use religion like for their own.
Well, of course
benefit.
They do.
The church,
of course they do. The oil that's happening, and that's why they went to war with Afghanistan, all that sort of crap. Well, I mean, look what's happening with ISIS and things like that. There's all people pulling the strings in the background.
The church was the most powerful business in the world, not anymore, but it's still up there. Look at how many secrets they keep in the Vatican. The Dead Sea Scrolls being a prime example. They don't want people to know the truth. They'll keep things covered so they can keep what they've got going. Mm-hmm. They don't want people to wake up.
How many times have they changed moved the goalposts though? The Catholic Church. Let's be fair, over the years, you know what I mean. Like it was before Copernicus discovered that the world wasn't flat. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's actually round, and the Earth orbits. I don't know if he discovered the Earth orbits the sun. I'm not sure, but they changed. It's so often. Oh yeah, he's right. Oh right, okay, he's right now. Yeah, and then he's right now, and then they discover more and more and more. Yeah. And it changes every time. So it's but the Bible stayed the same. You can't wear two fabrics woven together. Well, you should be killed for that. Don't look at a woman while she's on a period, otherwise she can be killed or whatever. This is the daft things they have in the Bible. That's true fact. Do you want to know
Do you want to know what's mentioned as a sin multiple times in the Bible?
Yes.
Shrimp, as in the animal. It's a sin. It's a sinful creature.
It is a sin. It's disgusting.
Let's go back to two things that have already been covered on this podcast about the Bible. Right, here we go. Yeah, I think I've had a mind blank. No, unicorns being mentioned in the Bible. So if I was to go up to a Christian or somebody like that, hey, you know that part in the Bible that says those unicorns are real? What do you think about that? Oh, well, it's just bloody whatever. And then there's also mention of the Anunnaki, essentially alien giants in the Bible. What they're going to say about that? Excuses. Like you say, they always move the goalpost. They always come up with excuses that suit their needs.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a load of shit.
I think that's a psychological thing, that though.
But the Bible says, and that's most of their.
But there's different versions of the Bible as well, though, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's ridiculous. It's just like different sects of a giant club.
What about Mary Magdalene's Bible? What about the Gospel of Mary Magdalene? You know, who Jesus slept with and whatever.
That's dirty fucker.
I know, absolutely pounding that.
That's another one. That's one for another day.
Well, what about
whacking her with a nut with a fucking crucifix.
What about
bitch?
What about Jesus' mother and Joseph and God? Joseph was the stepdad. Jesus.
As far as I'm concerned, Joseph is the biggest fucking dumbass ever. I swear to God, I didn't fuck nobody.
Can you imagine the Bible though?
Joseph's
was the biggest.
I suppose.
The Bible was the biggest, like, sort of bullshit in history. The biggest lie a woman's ever told. An angel came down from heaven and said, like, you're pregnant because God and stuff.
And Joseph's like, yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, very believable. Yeah, let's call him Jesus.
You know you can't get her pregnant, don't you, Joseph? Do you know what you've done? Oh shit! Excuse. It was the Great Spirit beyond. Ridiculous. It's insulting. And
to Joseph.
It's to Joseph.
I feel bad for Joseph mean all this because
he lived a lie.
He's the one that's getting fucking
Lived
laughed
a lie.
at, really. Like, dude, she was obviously fucking banging some little scruff in
What
wherever
she's
the
done
fuck.
is
What,
she's
Israel?
fucked some guy behind your back.
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem fucking hen.
It's
Bethlehem's red light district.
religion annoys me.
Wham bam.
And I have heated discussions with me brother multiple times over this. And other people. I'm quite happy to have a heated debate about religion. I've got grandparents, one set of my grandparents that they're just so caught up in the whole Catholic side of things. And then you think, well, hang on a minute, you really worship this whole Catholic religion when there's Catholic priests out there fucking young men, young boys. Do we turn a blind eye to this? What the fuck is going on?
Personally, I don't think it's just like there's lots of men fucking young boys
There
and
is.
girls out there, and it's not. I think these Catholic priests have a stigma about it. I'm not religious, by the way. I would class myself as an atheist, but I've got no problem with people spouting off their religion. Just don't do it to my face. You know what I mean? And don't that type of thing. But
the point would be, is there a disproportionately high level of Catholic priests fucking boys compared to the rest of the
It's probably
society?
just the fact they're in a position of power. And
I
they can
think
easily influence.
I think historically that's what they did, didn't they? I don't think there's obviously so much now because you can't get away with it. You know what I mean? But and obviously they're going to try and weave it out. But years and years ago, they could have easily. There's going to be loads of things you would have got away with.
It's a dominance thing, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's all about dominance.
Yeah, but why would they particularly need to feel like they need to go out and shag a little dude in his butthole?
Well, because they can.
And
they're meant to be celibate as well.
I could do that. I could go next door and just like pull the little dude's pants down and start raping him.
It's just,
but I kind of feel like if you like suppress somebody's natural
it's
like,
celibate
urges
because they're celibate, aren't they? They're celibate. Yeah, that's the thing.
So they're probably like, that little fucking arsehole is going to grow up with somebody that can shag lush lasses, and I can't because I'm a fucking idiot that's married myself to fucking God, a fucking piece of shit that I don't even know if he exists or not. So I'm going to go and punish him because he's going to have a fun life later that I'm not going to have.
Yeah.
So Timmy,
take
your pants off and come sit on Santa's lap, bitch.
That is awful.
We shouldn't laugh. It is disgusting.
That's disgusting, man.
I know, but why is it a little bit funny? It's funny because it's so scary. That's why it's funny. Because if it happened to you,
if you didn't laugh at it, would get ourselves in such a downer. You know what I mean? And
we're like bombing churches and shit.
Yeah.
Come here, you piece of fucking shit.
Yeah.
I think sometimes laughter is like you can laugh
In medicine,
sort of hysterically, can't you? You can laugh hysterically, like how bad something